Dawn of the Planet of the Apes in 3D. A 2014 release, a 2-hour and 10-minute film, 1.85 to 1 aspect ratio. This is 7.6 on International Movie Database, 90% critics approval score on Rotten Tomatoes, 88% audience approval score on Rotten Tomatoes, DTS HD Master Audio, 7.1 sound. Directed by Matt Reeves. We're going to talk about the director a little bit more in a second. Starring Andy Serkis as Caesar. You got Gary Oldman as Dreyfus, the lovely Kerry Russell as Ellie, Cody Smith McPhee as Alexander. You've got Jason Clarke as Malcolm, Toby Cabell as Koba, and so many other wonderful actors and actresses that have facial recognition animation as they play the apes, and you could tell who they are by their eyes. You could say, that's that actress, that's that actor. I could tell by the eyes. Absolutely amazing. I believe this is the 9th Planet of the Apes film going back to 1968. Could be the 8th. I'm not sure. It's either the 8th or the 9th. But all this comes from the French novelist's novel that he wrote in 1963, La Planète des Singes, which translated in English is Planet of the Apes, and that novelist was Pierre Boulez. He hung out at the zoo. He watched the gorillas' expressions on their face, and it reminded him how they looked human. He based this on several other aspects. He liked Gulliver's Travels, and you could kind of feel a little bit of that in the original 1968 film starring Charlton Heston, which they made so many other films right after that. Beneath the Planet of the Apes, War of the Planet of the Apes, all that other stuff. I think there was 4 or 5 that came out right after that. I was a kid. I went and seen them all. Collected the cards. Everybody, was the whole talk of all the kids talk of the neighborhood, Planet of the Apes toys, the whole bit. So when this came out, when this trilogy came out, I wasn't all that thrilled about it. I've done my time with Planet of the Apes, but Rise of the Planet of the Apes was the first one of the trilogy. This is the second of the new trilogy, Dawn, and then there's War for the Planet of the Apes. By the way, this is the very first Planet of the Apes film to be filmed in 3D. This was filmed in British Columbia and also in New Orleans. They hired 500 extras in New Orleans. They spent $5 million in New Orleans alone on sets, which was the total budget for the original 1968 film. This was shot on an Alexa M dual strip 3D camera. Let's talk about the director, Matt Reeves. Hats off to Matt Reeves. He decided he wanted to shoot this on a 3D camera, dual strip 3D camera. He actually changed the aspect ratio. It's the first Planet of the Apes film to have a 1.85 to 1 aspect ratio instead of the 2.39 or 2.35. Why? Because he saw the apes on the horses. He wanted that little bit taller picture for that, and he knew he was doing it in 3D, so he says, hey, I got to do a 1.85 aspect ratio. Hats off to him for that. Great job on bringing the 3D genre forward. Of course, that was in 2014. He also wanted a subtle 3D. He didn't want that kind of gimmicky 3D. We're going to talk a little bit more about 3D in a second. Let's get back to the movie real quick. Look, this came 10 years after Rise of Planet of the Apes. The apes are now genetically enhanced. They're intelligent. They're learning English. There was a pandemic that hit the earth after Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and this is 10 years later. These science fiction films that have these pandemics, it's amazing, right? Here we are. It's no longer science fiction. It's just science, truth. Here we are in the middle of a pandemic. How many times has that happened? How many films have we seen in the past with pandemics and it's happened? Okay, but this one was very, very severe. Only 1 in 500 people survived this pandemic. The apes are now living out in the woods. This takes place in San Francisco. There are going to be some spoilers here. If you don't want any spoilers, go ahead and leave. About 500 people are trying to survive in San Francisco. The scenes of San Francisco in this movie are absolutely incredible. Vines hanging from things, cars abandoned. It's just an amazing set, okay? And now they got to get to this hydroelectric dam out in the woods where the apes are living. They got to get out there so they can get power, so they can survive and contact the rest of the world. And these people are desperate. So they send a little group of humans out. There's always one bad human, right? There's always one bad ape. There's always one bad human. And they kind of ruin it for people getting along. These two this social aspect of these two groups of beings getting along, right? You got this bad human in there, you got a bad ape in there, and they kind of mess things up, which leads to a lot of drama. Things were going to work good, but you got this bad ape in there, and he wants to start a war. He hates the humans, and you got the human that hates the apes. But the social aspect of this is fantastic. You know, I'm watching these apes, and I feel like I'm watching humans. I feel like they're more human than we are at some point. They're loving their families. They're having babies, and then the humans come into this. Look, they have a confrontation in the woods. I'm not going to ruin the film for you, but they come to an agreement. And there's some aspects in here where the humans come and they, somebody's sick and they use their medicine to save one of the lady apes in here, and this camaraderie is going on. But in the meantime, in the background, you got this hatred, and in a war, there's a battle that ensues, and it's a very touching, emotional film. There's a good father-son aspect on the ape side in here. Very, very good emotional aspect. Let's get back to the 3D now. This Reeves, oh my gosh. The subtleness of this 3D, it makes you feel like you're in the film. That's what he does. When there's like a council of apes going on, I mean, it's like you got this ape behind you, got this ape in front of you. It's like you feel like you're sitting right in this group of apes. That's what this 3D does. It brings you into the picture. It makes you feel like you're there. That's the kind of 3D this is. Real 3D, if you want to call it, or what. I mean, you're in this group of apes, and you're just sitting there, right? And there's an ape out of the screen in front of you, and you feel like you're in this group of apes. That's probably one of the most strongest feelings I had while watching a 3D. The rest is kind of subtle. You do have a lot into the window. You got that into the window effect. You got that depth effect. Will there be some stickouts? Absolutely, there's going to be stickouts. You've got some spears sticking out of the screen. You got some gun barrels coming out of the screen, no doubt about that. You got some apes' faces coming out of the screen. You feel like you're there with the apes. That's the thing about this. Is there any what I call those are stickouts? I call the stickouts. What about pop-outs? What about things that come flying out? There's one scene where this ape throws a barrel, and it comes out and you kind of jump, and some say that was a tribute to Donkey Kong. I don't know, but so you'll get like one jump scene in there, and you will have some some flames and things like that, a lot of particle effects and things like that, a lot of good raindrops. When it's raining, you feel like it's raining in the room, so you do get that really good 3D effect, and that's how he wanted it. And I can't wait to go ahead and watch War for the Planet of the Apes, which followed this. I know that one is 3D. I don't know if Matt Reeves filmed that one. By the way, this came as a suggestion to me from one of my subs who also suggested several other movies. I want to thank him for that. I'm not going to mention his name here. I don't know if he wants his name mentioned. So if you got any suggestions, go ahead and send them to me, and I'll get them in if I can. So what's my take on this? My take on this Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I'm going to give this film, I'm going to give it 5.0 for the movie, and I'm going to give it 5.0 for the 3D. Hats off to Matt Reeves for the effort he put in for the 3D. Oh, one thing I want to mention is the soundtrack, the music score for this. It is done by Michael Giacchino. Great job on the sound score. You don't have to adjust your volume. And there's times in here when you don't need any sound. There's times in here where you don't need music. There's times in here where you just need wind. And that's exactly what he does here. So hats off to Michael Giacchino for the sound score. So that's my take on this. So let me ask you, did you see this? Did you see it in the theater? Did you see it in 3D? Did you see it in 2D? I'll leave some comments below and let me know. Hit that like and subscribe button. I'm going to have a lot more reviews coming out. I'm also going to be announcing the winner of the October 3D Blu-ray giveaway that I have. That's going to be coming up in a few days. So stay tuned. Stay subscribed. I want you to stay safe. I want you to have a good night. And as always, God bless.